it's odd because I tell people I'm getting information that I wouldn't have known before. But then the more I'm starting to get this information and being able to tell which is real and which is fake and which is something that somebody thinks is real. Something that somebody thinks is real and thinks is fake kind of thing. And when somebody isn't sure of something, you can sense it. When you start developing that sense a little more, you can sense when anything is real, not just people. Like, if you can tell if a bird is playing, or if a bird is fearful, or if a bird is eating, or if a bird is just sort of flying around killing time. Like, you can start telling by intuition. You can say, like, you know how you can tell, like, everybody has to be able to tell on some level when somebody's lying to them, or when they're bullshitting you. Well, if you develop that, you can start telling when other things are either, like, not always bullshitting you or playing around. You can tell when someone's playing around. You can tell when someone's mad. You can tell when someone's angry. And they're like, I wasn't, but you can tell they are, even though they're saying they aren't, because they're lying to you and you can see through it. That happens on every level, even the imaginary and the whatever ones. If you develop your things so much, you can go to the imaginary level and see what is real and what isn't. Like, ghosts are real, but not in a physical sense. But they are real in a physical sense if you believe they're real in a physical sense, depending on how much. You may have seen one ghost in your life. If you have seen a whole bunch, you see a whole bunch of ghosts all the time. I started seeing ghosts, and then I started seeing things because I know that I can, and I know they're there, and I'm like, well, if I see them, then how can I explain this to people? Well, you know that they can manifest, but they don't have to unless you want them to. I'm like, wow. I'm like, so how can I teach that to people? Like, say, Trish. Well, she knows that they're there, and she's interacted with people, and those negative vibrations that have been those beings that have harmed them have manifested because those beings made them manifest in those ways with the combination of their astral, gastral, imaginary, their vibration, their sound, what they say, what they do, how they act, what they look like, their intentions, their attention, their focus, their belief. All those things are like a spiritual mathematic equation that add up to everybody's here and now. Everybody's here and now moment. Like, my now moment was almost lost for a second because I almost lost my mind because I'm like, why am I thinking so negative? Because the negative energy got in me. But because I asked that and because I've been doing this so intently, my higher beings heard me and gave me the ability to give myself like a game treasure, a bonus kind of thing, where they gave me like a item that in my future I get an amulet that keeps the energies, keeps me clean, and I believe that. And and I'm getting my attention back more because of that. Isn't that crazy? I mean, it's pretty awesome, but I'm explaining it in a way that makes sense to me, but in a way that can make sense to other people so they can easily do it. The more you listen to it and the more you do it, the more it really happens, and your life can completely change. Because it's all what you want it to be. You just have to start believing it. And the more you do things and believe them to be so, they'll happen that way. Because if you think about it, everything in your life is the way that you've believed it so. Whether or not it's how you wanted it, because you saw other people do it and you were like, well, that's how it is. Because that's how you believed it to be. Whether you saw it that way or not, you can start believing it to be a different way. Because the way you strongly believe it to be, those things will take themselves away from you. They just will. I love you. Talk to you later.